Hello, Michelle. Welcome to Power Women Wellness. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited to speak with you today. Gosh, I loved your questions in the form that I have you fill out of like wellness and protecting your peace. And I'm like, let's get into it. But
Right.
first, I got to ask about your career. So you're a lawyer and a
I'm a
judge.
lawyer. I know the dreaded words. Been a lawyer now. This is my 23rd year.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
I was licensed to practice law in 2002. And it is
Wow.
terrifying to think that I've been doing it for this long, 'cause it doesn't seem like that long, but it has been.
Oh my gosh. So did you always see yourself becoming a lawyer?
Yes, since age 8.
Okay. Okay.
Like
So similar.
there's a story behind it. My father was a surgeon. And my parents went through an ugly divorce, and I was in second grade, Miss Henry's class at Vista Hills Elementary. Like, won't ever forget it. And he told me if I ever became a lawyer, he would disown me. And I was like, done. And so I really never deviated from wanting to be a lawyer at age 8. I mean, never.
Wow. I mean, same. Like I knew I wanted to be in like health since I was like 5. So like I
Right.
fully like I feel that.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming becoming a family lawyer is also because of like your
Yeah.
experience.
No,
Okay.
it's my entire, I joke, tongue in cheek a little bit about my entire life was designed to be a family law lawyer. My father was married multiple times. I'll just say it that way.
Okay.
But I grew up with three stepsisters. My mom got remarried to a wonderful, wonderful man that was my stepdad, and I attribute a lot of my success in life to him.
Okay.
And so, and then I married someone that was divorced, and he had two young kids, and so I raised his girls. They're now, I think, 30 and 28.
Oh my
And they were three
gosh.
and five when I came into their lives. I'm now divorced.
Okay.
And the hazards of mixed blended families is sometimes, even if you wanted to stay in touch after a divorce, it's not always possible.
Yeah.
And then I've got three boys of my own. And then I mean, when I say I really lived and breathed all sides of family law, the only thing I was missing up until recently was I hadn't been divorced. Well, I added that to it. So now I really have covered about every aspect of being a family law lawyer. I've covered it all, I've covered the spectrum.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, you've been through it. And I know that even with health stuff, you've been through it. So I wanted to like
Oh,
kind of lead there and then we can kind of wherever the conversation takes us. But you wrote that you have 15 surgeries in 5
I've
years.
I've had 15 surgeries in 5 years. That started in October of 2020. And
Wow.
so within the first, I guess, 6 months of COVID hitting is when I ended up in surgery for basically almost an emergency neck fusion, not from an accident, but I had ignored symptoms for about 5 years.
Wow.
And my body said, you're taking a timeout. And so it gave me a timeout.
Yeah, it'll force you to do that.
Well, it
And
will.
you wrote it that like you really relate a lot of it to like stress of how much stress your body
Oh,
was under.
absolutely stress related. And it was related to stress career wise and then stress in the home, which is what leads me now to today where it's protecting my peace is really paramount because I firmly believe that my health deteriorated to such an extent because there was no break in the stress for me from either
Yeah.
work or home. There was just never a break. And so my
Yeah.
body broke instead.
Yeah, no, I fully feel that. I feel like that year is this year for me. Like there's parts of my life that are great, like the family house and my kids and my husband were all good, but my mom died 2 months ago, and then it's just like so
Um,
it's a lot of things like back to back that are really heavy in life. And so yeah, it very much feels that way. So I'm like also in that season of like, okay, there are so many things I cannot control right now. What can I control?
what can you
Um,
control
what
and
can I
how
focus
do
on?
I limit other people from coming into my boundary space?
Yes, which I love that that is a big key to you for overall wellness. How do you do that? Because a lot of people, yeah, it sounds good. Like that sounds easier said than done, kind of thing. So how do you protect your peace?
It is easier said than done. The most useful tool in protecting your boundaries is the word no.
Okay.
People don't use that word enough. And
Yeah.
you don't have to say no, and here's the reason why. Like you don't have to give some big long excuse. It's just the answer is no. No thanks. And that applies to going out to events. That applies to, going to coffee if you don't really want to. It applies to, staying in your pajamas all day on a Sunday, which I, as a general rule, don't do. But every now and again, it's just, you gotta say no,
Yeah.
because everyone will pull you in every direction they can if you let them. And no is a very powerful word that I know I didn't use enough. I was much more of a, I'll make everyone else happy,
Yeah.
and in doing so, made myself miserable.
Okay, so that doesn't come natural to you to say no. Like you were someone that more so liked to please people. So
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
what was, I don't know, was there a, I don't know, something that helped you like start doing that? Because I can only imagine how hard that is. That is not me. I always say I have a healthy dose of selfishness. I will absolutely say no. I love canceled plans. It is like my love language. So I have no problem with that, but I know a lot of people do. So what was it that like bridge to say no?
So I really have always been a people pleaser. It's, you can avoid conflict by trying to make other people happy.
Yeah.
And in the process, you really just make yourself miserable. And for me, it was really when I moved out of my marital residence and moved out on my own back in 2024. That for me was I can't do this anymore. And that really was for
Mm.
me where I'm like, I can't, I just couldn't.
So you had to
And
hit rock bottom. Like you had to feel that.
I had to hit rock bottom. And I did because I moved out in early March and I had my first knee replacement end of March. And I didn't have a place to be. I was on my friend's couch because when I moved out, it was not a planned or well thought out in advance. We had a huge argument. And I looked at him and I looked at the anger in his eyes and I thought, this is never going to change. I can't keep doing this to myself and the kids.
Yeah,
And he
I'm
would
out.
never leave. So I left.
Mm.
And that was the moment kind of where I snapped and realized that I just was killing myself to try and make him happy.
Yeah.
And I sitting here today, I'm probably lucky I'm alive because the lead up towards that last big disagreement, I had stroke level blood pressure that we couldn't get under control. I was anemic, having to undergo iron infusions at the time. Like it was just my
I know
body was
I
giving
was
out.
just about to ask you like how they always say the body keeps a score. And I was just about to ask you, I know you mentioned the neck infusion, but like how did your body speak to you? That is like this is not good.
It was the blood pressure was the really big one. Blood pressure, they always call it like the silent killer
Yeah.
because people don't pay attention to it. And my blood pressure was, there's a doctor my GP, who I didn't find until a couple years ago, but I really attribute him to saving my life because
Oh,
I remember that first appointment I had with him, and he's like, because I was supposed to have my surgery, my knee replacement, I was supposed to have it in December, and I went in for my pre-op, and he wouldn't clear me. He's
yeah.
like, I can't clear you. He's like, you're so anemic that you have this surgery, you will collapse immediately after like waking up from surgery. He said, and your blood pressure, he's like, is through the roof. And he's like, what's
Wow.
going on? And so, and I understand a year before that, I had worked with my orthopedic surgeons to kind of figure out what the order of my surgeries were going to be. So I
Oh.
had to have my ankle replaced. I had my right ankle replaced.
Gosh.
And so what we decided
So
was to
you're
do the
bionic right now
I
then.
am. I've got titanium knees and a titanium ankle, as well as some other stuff in my neck. But we had planned out ankle first because the ankle recovery is brutal. And I mean, wheelchair for 2 months, brutal. And
Wow.
so the plan was heal from that, and then as soon as you hit that year mark, we'll get the knee replaced on that same leg, and then my surgeon will do the knee replacements. He does the new ones. So instead of going up and down your knee, he goes on the inside. And
Okay.
so your recovery time is much shorter because they don't cut the quadricep. Would highly recommend it.
Gosh.
And so he did both of my knees 8 weeks apart. And so I
Wow.
had my first knee replaced in March and then had my second knee replaced in May of 2029. And all,
Wow.
by the way, while I was still maintaining a full workload.
Wow. Wow. I feel that. That reminds me of when I was right after I gave birth, and I was so
Uh-huh.
young when we had my son, but I was in the university bookstore like 3 days after I gave birth. My vagina felt like it was about to fall out of me. I was
My
in pain,
God.
but I was getting my books, and I was like very determined, and I got my books and whatever. But so
Oh,
I
that no, I mean, that's all. I mean, it's awful. I get it.
I fully understand that like you got stuff to get done, even though you're recovering in some capacity, it's still got to get done.
Yeah,
So
there's not many options. And I mean, I did after one of my neck fusions, so I've had three neck surgeries. And I had my most recent one in March unexpectedly, but hopefully, knock on wood, that's the last one for a very long
yes,
time.
yes.
Hopefully, I pray, because I'm tired. I mean, I like when I say like all the things that can go wrong and surgery can go wrong. I woke up in the middle of my second knee replacement.
No,
Yeah,
the things I
yeah.
never even want to imagine.
Oh, I
What was that
did.
like though? I'm very nosy. What was that
So
like?
I have a terrible sense of humor. I don't think you can do family law for a living unless you you're a little bit different. I'll just leave it at that. And my surgeon I know really well. And so I woke up and I was like, I could feel the hammering. I'm sorry, Cosmo's coming to say hi. Um, they could, I could feel the hammering and I could hear it. And then at that point I was like, hey guys, I'm awake.
Oh my
I
gosh.
wasn't awake much longer after that, but
They're probably like injector now.
and doc and my
Wow.
his name's David Dodgens, my knee surgeon. He's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But he's like, seriously, it had to be you, the lawyer. I'm like, he doesn't know what you want me to do about it. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Maybe you're just like a fast metabolizer of like
Yeah, no,
medicine.
I am. Like when I go to the
Okay.
dentist, they have to repeatedly numb me because I go through the lidocaine, whatever they inject in your mouth. But yeah, no,
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
difficult to numb.
And to keep asleep.
And to keep asleep. They learned the lesson the hard way.
That's too funny. So you do juggle all the things. So how have you set boundaries for yourself?
The biggest change recently has really been I'm not going to put up with someone being an a-hole, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Life's too short to deal with people like that. And so I've really, even in my law practice, started limiting some of those clients that are particularly difficult and take out
Yes.
their anger on me because I'm there to help them. And if you're going to treat me poorly, then you can go find someone else. I'm just not
Yes.
going to tolerate it. I'm at the point in my career where I don't need to tolerate it. I think early on in my career, in order to make ground and make a name for yourself, you kind of put up with more than you
Hmm.
would have in normal circumstances. But I've stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Now I will treat you with respect. You treat me with respect. We can agree to disagree, but you hired me and I'm trying to help you navigate a system that you as a client generally don't know about, that I've been
Yes.
in for 23 years. And I'm sorry, but Chat GPT is not the answer.
We love some chat. Oh, it's big in my industry too.
Oh, like I've had a couple clients send me Chat GPT says, here's how you need to handle and argue this for me. And
What would you rate it? Would you rate it like one being the worst, 10 being the best?
it's neither. It's a three
Ooh.
and here's why. Family law is particularly nuanced. It's also particularly emotional driven in a lot of areas.
Mm,
And because of that, ChatGPT can't get the emotion, number one. Number two, ChatGPT doesn't know the judges we appear in front of. And they don't know what works or what doesn't work in front of those particular judges. And
yes.
that is something that ChatGPT will never be able to do, ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now, of course, someone's going to say online, yeah, I can just wait. I, but I had a client that I said, we're going to have to agree to disagree. And maybe I'm not the right lawyer for you because it was, well, Chat GPT says to do that this way. And my
Yeah.
answer was, I've appeared in front of this judge for the last 10 years. So I know what his triggers are. I know what he likes, what he doesn't like. I know what arguments work, what don't work. I've had the same judge yell at me and say, Miss Locke, don't think for a second that argument's going to work in front of me. And so, but that chat
That's
GPT can't do
needed.
that.
Yeah, but that's why they pay the big bucks because you know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but there, it's hard-earned knowledge that no matter what chat GPT does, you're never, it's not a substitute. It
Yeah.
is a tool,
Yes.
but it is not a substitute.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So yeah, I guess more on the like juggling. So how do you, are you a type A personality, type B personality? Do you schedule things out? Is that where you can feel like you can accomplish all the things from family, career, or like what does it look like for you to stay organized and on top of it? Or
Oh,
maybe you'll answer me and be like, I'm not on top of it.
so I'm super type A.
Okay.
That being said, I also have pretty severe ADHD. And so I have to, my paralegal helps keep me on task a lot.
Yes.
Let's just say I have to have some outside forces reining me in.
Okay. So you need the help. Like the help is
Oh, I
necessary.
have to have it
Okay.
because I will overbook myself every single time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, can
I
you
mean,
speak more on that? Because I think there's people that struggle with asking for help. And I think that's a big part of it. Like I always, me and my husband always joke that like having a house manager has been one of the best things ever to have,
uh,
to take
I
all
don't
the
know
things.
how I didn't do one before.
Yes, exactly. So have you had an issue with asking for help before?
Yeah. I am how I grew up was you become hyper independent because it's the only
Okay.
person you can rely on is yourself. And so I was very much hyper independent, very, very much so. And I would never ask for help because for me, that was a sign that it was a failure. And I really had
Mm,
to reframe how I thought about that. And it's actually one of the things I talk about now is that one, it's okay to say you're not okay. And two,
hmm.
it's okay to ask for help. And that was a hard one for me to learn. I have a great therapist who's helped, but that one was a hard one to learn because you
Yeah.
can't do it all yourself. And if you do, you end up being, it's like you can't fill your cup. You can't fill
Mm,
others' cups unless you fill yours first.
yeah.
And if you overschedule, there's never any time for you to fill your own cup. And that's
Yeah.
just, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I haven't had any issues asking for help. And that's so interesting. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way, where it just feels like a failure to be able to ask for help. I've never thought that. I don't know. Maybe that's why it's been so easy for me because I'm like, I don't know, I need help. I can't do everything. So help.
Oh yeah, no, and but we were the women kind of. I think I'm a little older than you,
Well, I was gonna
but
say you look great. So I don't know how you're older than anything past 30 something years old.
well,
So
you're sweet, but I am rapidly approaching 50.
you look
Um,
great.
and so my generation of women were raised by our mothers in a very
True.
contradictory manner,
True.
but unintentionally so. Like, so my mom's a boomer.
Yep.
And she was raised to, as a woman, you take care of the home, you take care of your husband. That's what you're supposed to do. Your place is in the home. Well,
Yes.
when she divorced my dad, she ended up single mom with a horrible ex-husband who never paid child support on time, despite having the resources to do so. And so she taught me to get an education, to never
Mm,
depend on a man for anything, and to make my own way. And so I learned that. But she also,
mm,
at the same time, was your job as a mother is the most important role. And so I was raised where I had to do it all. And I think there's lots
mm.
of women from my generation that were raised to, we didn't have a choice but do it all. We had to do everything on the home front. We had to do everything in the work environment and we had to do it well and we had to do it without complaining.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree that it's very generational because I do feel like we are I'm a millennial and so I would say Gen Z and just all these other generations, I feel like they do ask for help pretty easily. Like a lot of people that I know, they have a nanny, they have all these things. So I feel like maybe it is changing. Well, because again, the climate of career for women were very different in your mom's era.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
I mean, maybe even barely a career at that point. I'm really bad at like a timeline. So I'm sure at that point, like, yeah, there wasn't a ton of women in like the jobs that we are in now. So now that there's a lot of two people working in the home, we have no other choice than to ask for help at this
No, you have
point.
no other choice. But
Yeah.
that's why they always talk about, if you've seen all like the memes online of like, hey, why is Gen X getting out of this one? Or I think I'm right. And it's like, you don't want to mess with Gen X for a reason.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why.
It's so true. It's so true.
It's, I mean, it really is. I watch those and I just laugh because I'm like, oh, it couldn't be more accurate.
It is so true. I know. I don't know. I will say, are you a millennial? Are you like an older millennial? Or no, 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 you're not. See,
No,
I think you're so young.
I'm gonna thank Lily who does all my facial work to help me, stay fresh looking. I'll tell Lily you said so, but no, I was born in 77.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think it's so interesting to like kind of see all the generations and how we have our little quirks.
Oh no, we
Um,
do. There is very much generational differences.
Yes, yes, big time. And it's gonna be interesting seeing like I used to always say like all my grandbabies and just seeing how things are.
Oh,
But
it's gonna be
I will
wild.
say the millennial generation is probably, I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like it's just one of the best because we were like the last to have a childhood without
Mhm.
technology, really. But we grew up with technology, so technology comes very natural to us.
Yep.
So I feel like we got the best of both worlds, honestly.
You did, because I remember computers were a big deal when we got them
Yes.
in school. And I remember, I think like kindergarten, first grade was when, so this was 82, 83,
Yeah.
when computers just started kind of appearing. And I remember as we got older, like Apple IIe, if anyone is even listens, even remembers an Apple IIe, I
Apple
do.
IIe. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then y'all, I had Beastie Boys License to Ill on LP. Okay. Like old, I'm old.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Oh, I love nostalgia though. Like it just makes you feel all the feels.
And I remember midnight releases for new albums. Like I remember being in Cleveland,
Yes.
Ohio for like the release of Pearl Jam Verses, but they hadn't called it Verses yet. So I got the CD without the name on it, and that was a big deal.
Oh my
Do they even
gosh.
sell CDs anymore?
And I
Probably
think no, I
not.
think they do. I think they do, but I don't know who buys them. But I feel like things go away and then they come back and then they're vintage and then they're super cool.
I don't know. I
Um,
remember having anyone my age will remember having Case Logic because they talk about distracted driving, right? With the phones. There
yes.
was distracted driving in my generation was flipping through your Case Logic for your next CD
100%.
that you were going to put into the music so you could jam while you were driving. That may actually be worse than the phones.
Yes,
But yeah,
no,
I
I
remember
would
that
fully agree. And then we had to print our maps. So we didn't even have GPS. So we had to read the map while we're driving.
from
So
MapQuest. Did you use
yes, I
MapQuest?
use MapQuest.
Yep.
I
I
remember
remember
my dad
MapQuest.
using MapQuest. Oh gosh, that's just so crazy. Now I like can't live with technology, and I'm like, how did we ever do it?
Right? Like, how did we get somewhere without
How did we
GPS?
survive?
Sometimes I
What
wonder.
what are some things that you do every day that help you find joy?
So I also have a terrible singing voice. Let's just start with that. And so no one usually hears me sing. But when I'm in my car and it's just me, I put on whatever music I want and I sing and I dance in my car and I have a great time and I don't care who's watching. But the
Same
beauty, by the
way.
way, of getting older, especially, and I think it really hit for me at 45, is once you just don't care. Like you don't care what other people think. Not that you don't care, but you don't care what other people think. It's like I'm gonna do me, you do you, you do you, boo.
I've
But
heard that before, like that
yeah.
you just become
Oh, it's
le-
true.
you just don't care, and
You
maybe
don't.
it's just like not that you still have such long ways away to die, but
God
it's
willing.
yes, God willing, but maybe you just get closer and you're just like you realize that whole YOLO, like it really is. It becomes a little bit more close. It's just like I'm closer to that than not in some
Yeah.
capacity. Especially when you're approaching 50 and stuff. That like starts that's like the official. It feels like the final hump
Like
that
I'm
you're going
old, I know. I mean, after 50, I'm
you're
like,
going
well,
down.
crap. But yeah, but it's really true. About 45 is when I hit
Interesting.
I, I don't care what you think about me because
I love
whatever you think
that.
about me doesn't affect how I go to sleep, doesn't affect how I wake up, doesn't affect
Yeah.
any of those things. And so that I will tell you was a huge mindset shift that helped me where I am today with the boundaries and with the saying no and really kind of protecting my peace. Hitting 45
Okay.
was a big or at least the switch for me at 45 was a really big switch that made me go, yeah,
Mm.
I don't care what you think.
See, we need you to teach us young ones to implement that now, so that way we can have a long life of just like not
It is
caring.
such wasted energy.
Mm,
And so here's the perspective I put on it is at the end of your life, you have to look back at what your life was. And y'all, it's a journey.
right.
And journeys have ups and downs and left turns and right turns and unexpected, 360s. That is life. It's a journey. And at the end of your life, you've got to look back and figure out, are you happy with what you did with your journey as opposed to living for Instagram perfect? Because
Mm,
when you're on your deathbed and looking back at your journey, does it matter what anyone thought? No.
no.
It matters how you felt about your journey and what you did with your life and what you did with the circumstances presented to you. And so, how does anyone else factor into that? They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
kids and you want, to be a good parent. So I'm not saying you ignore everyone, but
Yeah.
Joe Blow around the corner, why does their opinion matter?
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't. And honestly, I feel like this is a little bit harder, I would say, for maybe our generation and beyond because we are so social media heavy more than other generations. And so it feels like when that there's that comment or that message, or like we are more susceptible to other people saying things maybe that harm us because, people are keyboard warriors and they'll say whatever behind when
Oh,
a lot of the time back in the day, they probably never would have even said that to begin with.
I love
So,
keyboard warriors. They
yes.
provide for endless entertainment.
Yes, but we're more susceptible to like receiving that. And at the end of the day, it's really just showing how unhappy they are. But that does impact the way that some people feel about, themselves, and then they care about what other people think and how they're perceived and all of that. So
And
I love
and
that.
people shouldn't. They just shouldn't waste time. Like I had someone on my podcast page leave a review on Apple, and the title of it was basically disappointed. Ozempic and a dye job doesn't change who you are. And when I read that, I laughed so hard because whoever wrote it, one probably knows me personally because it got much worse than that. But two, really doesn't like me. And
Yeah.
three, thought that writing that would, mm, I guess, make me feel bad about myself or something. And all
Yeah.
I did was turn it into great talking points because it made me laugh. Like, if you think that I am that insecure about who I am and what I do, that your comment is going to upset me or make me lose sleep at night, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're
I mean,
just wrong.
hurt people though. Like even I even think I'm like, could I ever like do that or say that or whatever? And I'm like, I could never, even if they never find out who I am and I was fully anonymous in my heart, I could never. And it really just goes to show that like hurt
Well,
people.
like, why be an asshole?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I mean, if does it make you feel better? Okay. But to
Yeah.
me, I got a good laugh out of it.
Yeah. I love
And
that.
and then I actually did a whole episode of it on that particular one
I have
because
to go
my
listen.
answer was, it's one, not Ozempic, it's Zepbound. Number two, it's not a dye job, it's highlights. And let me tell you about all the other work I get done with the filler and the Botox and the collagen threads and the IPL laser facial and the BBL laser facial. I'm like, nah, you're not going to shame me for me being me. I'm sorry. Try again.
Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of wellness, what are some healthy habits that you do daily, non-negotiable? It could be like certain exercises, foods, I don't know, anything.
So
Sauna.
I eat pretty clean protein for the most part. I do that. I need to get better about exercising. I used to be much better about it before all my surgeries, but those I've spent so much time
Yeah,
either recovering or in recovery or preparing for the next surgery that is kind of sidetracked.
I
I
can see
used to
that. Yeah.
ballroom dance. I'm going to go back to that because I miss it.
Mhm.
Journaling is great when you're in a bad headspace. Honest to God, if I'm tired, I'll take a power nap. That's how I survived law school, and I forgot to do that along the way. And so if I'm tired now, I'll take a nap.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even need to take a nap. All I need to do is close my eyes. And maybe I guess I might fall into like a little light asleep, but I'm still very aware. But I can wake up and just be like, oh, I'm ready to
I
go.
need 20 minutes. That's all I need. 20
Yeah.
minutes. A power nap
Yeah.
for 20 minutes and I'm good and I'm ready to go. But and so it's really small things.
Yeah.
It's when your body is tired, listen to it.
I was just gonna
Bef
say, I love that you don't push through. I love that you
you
listen and stop.
Well, because pushing through is one of the reasons why I've had 15 surgeries in 5 years. Because I
Mm,
did push through it and I ignored the symptoms. And I was like, no, I'll be fine. No, I'll be fine. No, I'll be fine. And I wasn't. And so
mm.
now, if my body tells me I'm tired, peace out, people. I'm staying home. If that means I'm going to bed at 7:30 on a random occasion at night, I'm going to bed at 7:30 at night.
I love that. I love that. See, everyone should be listening, should be like, you've done all the mistakes for us. So we just
Oh,
need to be listening
listen,
to you.
I, I have made a plethora of mistakes. And if I can help someone avoid the path that I took down, then I've done a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because I
agree.
wouldn't wish what I've been through on anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Where can we find you? Tell us about your podcast. Where are you on socials?
Oh, so I stay busy in addition to my law practice and being a mom. I launched my own podcast called Love Less Law this past summer. And I talk about high profile litigation cases, usually divorces, in
Okay.
Hollywood, and kind of give the behind the scenes perspective and analysis on kind of
Ooh.
what happens in these cases. Because I think most people, um, don't have the ability to really understand what you see in the headlines. For example, I think my first episode was Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston's divorce because they were a couple that really, while I think it broke Jennifer's heart, did divorce the right way. And then my next episode
Mm.
talked about Brad and Angelina's divorce, which is the wrong way to do a divorce. And so I
Okay.
go into the dynamics on that.
Tell me that you're going into the Blake and
Oh,
Justin Baldani.
I did a two-part series on
I
that.
gotta listen to it.
I
I
did,
gotta
and
listen
I
to
will
it.
tell you this without giving it away. I had one position before I did the research and before I went behind the headlines. And once I did the research and went behind the headlines, my position changed.
Okay, that I'm listening to it. I'm subscribing now.
Yeah, but it's a two-part one. And then the one
Okay.
that just dropped last week was Charlie Sheen and Denise Richards, which was like the perfect timing because the Charlie Sheen documentary is coming out, I think on Netflix, I think coming out. So that'll be
Ooh.
exciting. And then next week I drop Charlie Sheen and Brooke Mueller, which is his next divorce after Denise. And then I also do Love Lust Draw, which is under the same feed. But that's
Okay.
just me and my co-host ranting about whatever particular issue of the day or like the Ozempic and a dye job one, because that was like a 35-minute episode on just that. And so yeah, so it's entertaining. It provides me a nice break, but you can find me on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you find your podcast, you can find my podcast. You can also find me on Instagram at Attorney Michele Locke. Just remember my name is spelled with one L, Michelle, because my mother did that to me.
She just missed
Um,
the second L.
she just missed the second L. And so then I'm on my own website, and you can always find all my links to all the podcasts I've been on or on my own at michellelock.com. So I'm really not hard to find.
Yay. Well, thank you for joining us today and sharing all your insight through your whole journey. I believe that, we're put on this journey and our journey for a specific reason. And I love that you have taken your journey and it's really guided you to like what you're doing in your career and how you're helping others. So that's pretty amazing.
Well, the school of hard knocks is a really difficult way to learn, and
Yeah.
if I can avoid someone do the same thing that I did, then I've done something good in
Done.
this world, and it's
Yeah.
about leaving some good behind.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, yay. Thanks for joining
Yeah,
us.
thanks for having me.